Hi, and welcome to the Guardian Way. Today's episode is episode 62, questions businesses should ask before hiring a private security firm. Our entire podcast series, of course, is co-produced by Garrett Thomas, the CEO and founder of Guardian Protection Force. Good morning, Garrett.
Good morning. Yeah, this is one where, I love to be transparent. A lot of times when prospective clients call, I like to coach them about these things. I would like that our competitors would do the same thing. So this is a little bit of a help. What kinds of questions should you ask to make sure you select the right person, the right company? So we'll go into that.
Yeah, this is a great idea. When you came up with this idea of trying to drill down a little bit for businesses so that, whether it be your firm that they hire or whoever's, these, I think, all the elements that you put together in these questions are all germane to any business. And so it makes a lot of sense. Why don't you take us through these now and give our audience a little bit of a feel for some of the things that businesses should focus on when they're thinking about hiring a private security firm?
Yeah. So the first question, company experience, your background. What's the background of the individual who is selling you on this product or service? Uh, and what's their experience? What's the company's experience? What do they do? What do they focus on? You might need a company that's focused on armed security, but that company focuses on unarmed security. So they might not be the fit for you. How long has the business been in business? Um, a lot of new companies out there, and maybe they're good, maybe not, but there's a bit of a gamble there, so there's no history to look into to see what's their reputation like. So what type of clients do they serve? What industries do they serve? Are they very specific to one industry? Do they serve a multitude of different industries? Can they provide references and testimonials? You definitely want that, right? I mean, anybody who's done a good job, who runs a good business, should have clients that are happy to give them a testimonial. What is your experience with this business or a business of this size or this industry? So, let's say you need, 20 guards for a concert venue. Do they have experience doing concert security? Do they have experience running operations that large? So that's a question you should ask. The biggest one, are you licensed and insured? Believe it or not, a lot of people procure security contracts without knowing if they're licensed or insured. So do a little research. In our state, in California, there's a license called a PPO. You can look it up right online. You could verify that. We see a lot of people who don't have licenses, and if they don't have license, they don't have insurance. There's no way to get the insurance without the license. So verify those things. Services and capabilities. So, what types of services do you offer? Do you do on-site guards? Do you do surveillance? Do you do risk assessments? Do you do unarmed, armed? You should ask those questions. Do you offer customized security solutions? How are you specifically going to resolve my issue? Or are you just quoting me for 40 man hours a week without really considering what my issues are, how I operate, what my industry is, and how you're going to solve those issues? Or are you just quoting just for the sake of getting business? What technology, what equipment do you use? Do you use, body cameras? Do you use a tracking mechanism? Do you use reporting systems? What do you use? And how does that help me as the customer? Do you offer 24/7 monitoring? Or if we call at, 2 a.m., will the phones not get answered? Is there somebody who's going to be working at that time? Do you consistently work through a 24/7 basis or not? Maybe it doesn't matter to you. You're a bank and you operate 9 to 5. But again, one solution doesn't fit all. How do you handle emergency situations or incidents? Or are your people trained to handle these incidents? Do you have protocols for these? How do you hire personnel? Do you train them? A lot of security companies just rely on what's mandatory to get the guard card. So, do you do anything outside of that? How do you train these people? Who trains these people? What are you training them on? Are you training them on de-escalation tactics, laws, rules, regulations, or are you just training them on the mandatory fields like HR practices? Do your guards receive ongoing trainings in areas like conflict resolution, legal, restrictions, regulations? How do you ensure the reliability and professionalism of your security staff? So, you may have all these rules and everything, but how do you ensure that everybody's following them? How do you keep them reliable? How do you keep them accountable for their actions? What's your process for vetting and background checking? How do you manage employee turnover? What is employee turnover? How do you ensure continuity in service? Compliance and legal considerations. A lot of times, when someone hires a contractor, an outside company for something, they often don't think about these things because they think they're offloading all the problems. Well, you might be onboarding some issues too. So, are they in compliance with all the local, state, federal regulations? And how do you ensure the compliance? So, you got to ask these questions. Do they comply with X, Y, and Z? How do they ensure that that continues to happen? Because things change over time. What is your policy regarding confidentiality and data protection? Are they going to keep your information confidential? I see things online all the time. We're in the executive protection space. We'll see people all the time post pictures and videos of the people they're protecting, stating what they did, and that's obviously a breach of confidentiality. I would imagine they don't have any sort of protections. There's no sort of confidentiality clause in their contract. So, are they willing to sign one of those? How do they communicate? How they report? How they report to you as the client? How do they communicate to their employees? How do the employees communicate to you? Do they have reporting mechanisms in place? Is it an online system? Is it is it the old paper and pen that they're just going to slide underneath the door and you can get it when you're done? How do they do that? How do they communicate with law enforcement? What's the relationship like with law enforcement? That's another important one. Well, we have dedicated point of contact. A lot of potential clients and clients have called me and they say, I have XYZ company, but I don't know who to get a hold of in these incidents, in these issues. I have a security officer I'm having issues with, but I don't have any point of contact. Well, for me, that's unacceptable. You have to have somebody who's going to take care of your client, who's going to be in charge of resolving their issues. So you got to ask those questions. Do I have a dedicated person who can take care of these issues for me? How do you handle client feedback? Costs and contract terms. Sometimes when things aren't spelled out, you can have just a little bit of ambiguity, and it's just unknown. Well, you don't want that. You don't want it to be unknown. What's your cost structure? Are there any additional fees? For example, we see a lot of times people bid on jobs and it's a 12-hour shift or 18-hour shift or whatever it may be, 13-hour shift, and it says X dollars per hour. But are they going to hit you with overtime later? I'm sure they will when they find out that, I have to pay that. Can you provide a detailed proposal or quote, specifying what kinds of services you're giving and what they cost? What are the terms? Are there any penalties or fees for early termination? And how do you resolve any conflicts? How do you handle price adjustments or service changes? So let's say today you need 16 hours a day, but tomorrow you need 24 hours. How is that handled? Reputation and trust, one of the most important ones to me. What is the reputation of this firm? Do they have a reputation for being cheap, or do they have a reputation for being in compliance, for training and equipping the right people? What sets them apart from any other company? Have they ever had any complaints? Here in California, if you look up a PPO or a security company, you can see if they have any fines on their license. That might stray you away if you see fines on there that maybe they're not in compliance with things. Can you provide case studies or examples how you've successfully handled similar security challenges? So if you are a construction company and you want this firm to protect 20 different properties, do they have some sort of case example where they've done something like that? Risk management and insurance, do they have the right insurance? Do they have any mechanisms in place to manage risk? What types of insurance do they carry? How do you assess and mitigate risk specific to that industry or that location? What is the protocol for handling security breaches or incidents? Who handles that? Technology and innovation, it's no longer the 1990s or early 2000s. We have all these different technologies available to us. Do they employ any of them? Do they use them? How do they use them? How do they make sure that they're secure? How do you stay updated with the latest advancements? Do you offer cybersecurity services, integration with physical security? Can your systems integrate with all the existing infrastructure? Do you sell these different systems? These are things you should ask. Sustainability and ethics, really important again, to have ethics. What is your approach to all these different aspects? Do you ensure ethical practices? How do they treat their employees? That's another big one. How do you have a corporate social responsibility? Do you have a policy on this? Do you adhere to that? And most important, if their employees are working on your site or your organization, do they feel that they're being treated fairly? How are they being treated?
Garrett, I got to tell you, this has just been such a great amount of information for our audience. I mean, these are all great sectioned questions that probably every business should at least consider asking a portion of, if not all of them. So, as that relates to you, obviously, anybody calling into Guardian is not going to have any problem asking any of those types of questions, because that's essentially the model that you guys operate your business on. From that, just as we close this out today, and I have you close this out for us, just walk us through some of the services that Guardian offers, and also, more importantly, let everybody know how they can connect up if they want to talk to you directly or through social media. Just go over some of your services and give us a little heading on that.
Yeah, as anybody who's been watching this knows, a lot of the things we're offering, such as executive protection, on-site guard services, armed, unarmed. We have many different programs like the Workplace Violence Prevention Program, and of course, the no-fee site assessment. You need to get that done if you haven't done it already. You can always get a hold of us at the 866 number. You can go online directly and go to the Contact Us form, fill that out. You can direct message us on any of our social media platforms. We're always available. Contact us anytime.
That's great. Well, Garrett, sign us off for today, and we'll look forward to seeing our audience on our next episode of The Guardian Way.
Thank you very much. Stay safe and see you next time.